Oh, shortcuts.
I'm not a big
Excited.
shortcut user. Why should I use
I-
shortcuts?
Well, I don't use it on iOS. I am more of an automations on the Mac kind of person. On iOS, there's a handful. I think where shortcuts is going to be example is in, you may not be the type of person that builds something yourself, but I really am looking forward to say, what kind of app developers kind of come up with ideas for their own. Like, for example, I'm a big Alfred user, and there are things I do in Alfred that I would never have done unless they built the functionality. So I sort of see this from a mindset of like, yeah, I'm not going to build stuff, but I'm excited to see what other people build and the developers of the apps I use build. It's one of those things where if you do a common task over and over again, this is going to be a way to automate it. And this may be where if you're an IT professional, you have your core apps that your company uses, maybe where you come up with some that your company can use. Maybe that's a way you can kind of offer a service like, hey, we know many of you all are doing budgets in this app. It now has shortcut support. We built some ways to automate that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's really neat. I think it's just, I think when I look at shortcuts, I look at like a continued bridging of the macOS and iOS experience to where you can do things on both, and it's less of like one device versus the other, but it's just a shared experience. Similar to universal control.
I remember a long time ago. I think this conference was coming up on 19 years ago this fall. The O'Reilly Books people had a OS 10 conference in San Jose called 10Con, and I went out for that conference, and that was where I learned the magic of the Unix pipe command, where I can take the result of one command, pipe it to another, take the results of that, pipe it to yet another command, pipe it to another command, and it was like the world just opened up inside my head. And so the ability to string together multiple common tasks into like a pseudo program at that point run at the command line was a way to get information off of a machine that I couldn't have gotten otherwise. Shortcuts is doing that, but for individual piped applications. And so I'm excited to start playing around here. There are a couple of great sources. The folks over at macstories.net have a couple of really great shortcuts to start with if you want to just get started and play around. I think that you're going to have the ability to execute shell scripts this way. You're going to have the ability to execute individual application changes this way. So if you've been looking for a great way to kind of pipe some notifications around your environment, shortcuts might be a good way to handle that. So take a look at it. I think that this is one of those features where I think we don't know what it doesn't do yet. And we also don't know what it could be capable of. We're going to have to invent the future together. And so I'm excited to kind of take some, experiential learning classes in diving into, a half hour on shortcuts, and let's figure out what I can build in half an hour. So I'll be excited to play around.
Next year, like around March, you'll be doing a shortcuts webinar?
We'll see. Maybe there's a version of like the shortcuts for JumpCloud admins that we could come up with.
Oh, that'd be slick.
Please subscribe and check out more content from us.